Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We don't have our name tags up today, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Harry Williams. I'm the mayor of the city of Hardeeville. To my right, we have Councilman Steve Mearsman. We have Councilwoman Val Guzman. We have Councilman Bo White and Councilman John Carroll. So thank you all for joining us. It seems our council meetings are becoming very popular lately. Just a couple of things. Council, we're sharing microphones. The film crew has told me, make sure you talk into the microphone and you don't block the camera because we're being filmed, okay? Having said that, what we're going to do today, because there's a lot of attendees and we want to make sure that everybody is heard. This is a workshop. Just want you all to know we are not here to make any decisions. We're not here to draw any conclusions. The reason we have these workshops between the Planning Commission meeting and the first reading of our ordinances is so that we can have a session where we listen to everybody, study the facts without the pressure of having to make a decision in 5 minutes. And that way, whatever the council decides at the end of this meeting, when they'd like to have first reading, then we have time to think about it and digest the information that we will hear today. Normally, the rules of order for workshops are a little relaxed in that we don't go in order, but today I'm going to go to the stricter rules of order so that we can get through this in a orderly, and we're not here till tomorrow morning. So what we're going to do, and here's going to be the order. We're going to hear of the project from our planning staff. There will be a 3-minute summary from the chairman of the Planning Commission of their conclusions that they had at their meeting. At that time, I'm going to open it up to the public. Normally, council asks their questions and the public comes in. But because we're not making a decision today, and many of you have opinions, some of you have sent us emails, what we want to hear what you have to say, what's your concerns. And that way, we may have the same concerns up here, and we won't be duplicating what your concerns are as well. So that's the way this afternoon's going to proceed. We're here to learn, we're here to listen, we're here to make good decisions. And we're here to make those good decisions for the city of Hardeeville, okay? So, having said that, that's where we're going to proceed, and we'll start off with the planning department giving their presentation about the project. Council, everybody hold your questions until it's your turn to speak, please. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Today we are here to discuss the car track. There is a existing planned development district zoning assigned to the property, and so they are proposing an amendment to that zoning and then an initial master plan application. There you go. Is that better?
Thank you.
Okay. The project is Latitude Margaritaville Hilton Head car track. Again, this is part of the existing car track PDD that they are proposing to amend. It sits on 2,231 acres and is located between 46 and the existing Latitude Margaritaville development. It was annexed into the city in 2022, and there was no initial master plan at time of the original approval. The proposed maximum density is 2,620 units, which is consistent with what was previously approved for the car track. Again, this is currently undeveloped and vacant. The car tract is in green here. Latitude Margaritaville is to the north, and you can see the connection to the Morgan Tract. This is 46 here and Oakety Highway. I have the approved current concept plan, which was approved in 2022, and the proposed amended concept plan. The land use element of the comprehensive plan states that the city should emphasize connectivity by striving to connect development within the city's boundaries whenever possible. They also recommend multiple connections be required for future developments to avoid directing all traffic to US 278. As proposed, this does meet that requirement. The amended concept plan access points include connectivity to SC 46, existing Margaritaville via Latitude Boulevard and Shoreside Drive, as well as a connection to the Morgan Tract for EMS connectivity. The proposed master plan is shown here, which shows the primary layouts of the various land uses and the roadway connections. This chart right here shows the current plan development district conceptual plan versus the proposed conceptual plan and the proposed initial master plan. So there is a combination of residential, mixed use, park, civic spaces, and then the road right-of-ways. And on this chart, you can see that the road right-of-ways did decrease along the way. The elimination of that spine road and rearrangement of land uses did result in a reduction of wetland impacts by approximately 40% from the original plan development district proposal. So that is very positive. The civic district has also been relocated in coordination with city staff. The proposed location was reviewed and based on the needs of fire and EMS response and will provide faster response times to current and future development. Also, there was better connectivity to the Morgan Tract for emergency response provided. The land use element and natural resources element do have some open space goals in our comprehensive plan. The open space within development provides citizens with recreation opportunities without leaving the community, which means less congestion on the roadways. Potential passive park and amenity areas have been identified on the open space plan, and the amenity area specifically is located here, and you can see some other little pockets throughout the plan. The proposal is for a minimum of 25% total open space. The transportation element recommends that bicycle and pedestrian facilities be integrated into the roadways. The initial master plan does provide a 10-foot multi-use trail along the spine road until the circle south of the amenity area, and then a 5-foot sidewalk along the primary roadway south of the spine road. Additional sidewalks were also added throughout the community to the open space and connectivity plan between the first and second planning commission hearing. There is a 50-foot perimeter buffer except for where intervening wetlands buffers exist and where the property ownership is the same developer. There's an additional 50-foot buffer added to the wetlands adjacent to the new river. And if the property is owned and developed by someone other than Minto, a 50-foot buffer will be provided between that property line and Margaritaville. All right, so this did go to Planning Commission, and now it's in front of City Council, and I'm going to go through a little bit of the history before I hand it over. So staff did have some initial recommendations to Planning Commission for both the Plan Development District and the initial master plan. They were related to some recommendations of the comprehensive plan for the spine road and a landscape ordinance that was a little outdated, and then some discrepancies in text, along with staff was looking for additional pedestrian connectivity via sidewalks and the extension of a multi-use trail. Planning Commission motioned to table the item on September 13th based on 5 items. They asked for the revised plan to show the spine road without houses. They wanted a 10-foot wide path along the entire length of the spine road to SC 46. They wanted to show 5-foot wide sidewalks throughout the community. and to work with staff to revise the landscaping plan to be more consistent with the MZDO, as well as provide plans for construction road routing traffic from the south rather than the existing community. The revised submittal, which was reviewed at the October 27th Planning Commission meeting, included additional information regarding the roadways for the car track in the PDD and provided typical road sections in Exhibit I of the initial master plan. Staff did review those changes and determined that the increased right-of-way did bring the Spine Road further in keeping with the comprehensive plan, and based on the reduced environmental impacts from the alternative road options and enhanced safety measures provided for both vehicular and pedestrian traffic, staff supported changes to those sections. They also updated the open space and connectivity exhibit, which showed additional sidewalks, and they worked with staff to update the landscape standards in Exhibit H. Discrepancies in the PDD text were also corrected. At the October 27th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission recommended that City Council deny the proposed Plan Development District amendment based on the homes still located on the Spine Road, the 10-foot multi-use trail not extended the entire length of the Spine Road, sidewalks needing to be extended through the entire community, and the construction road issue not resolved. They also recommended denial of the proposed initial master plan based on the items listed above for the PDD. And I don't know if you want to hear, the applicant has a presentation as well. Mayor, if you'd like to hear from them at this time.
Please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Church. I am Director of Planning for Mento. I've been with Mento for 8 years and worked on this project since before we acquired it. I have a little bit of, so how do I get to my, and do I advance the slides or? Thank you. So cover slide here, our team, Dutch Neuweiler, Vice President of Land for Mento, myself. Lamar Mercer is our lead engineer. He's not here today. I'm sure you all know Lamar. We'll miss him. Sarah Robertson, our land use attorney with Burn Foreman, and Jonathan Guy, our transportation engineer, and a host of others. First exhibit here is a graphic of what the project would look like if CAR were added to the existing Latitude community. What we're doing here is we're amending existing entitlements. We're not asking for any additional units. We have downsized the commercial. We are proposing a plan that provides for the connectivity from 278 down to 46, which is not provided for in the current approvals. We also have connections from the east side on both the Anderson tract and the Carr tract that would allow for EMS, fire services to connect to and serve the southern portions of Morgan. And then we've moved the civic site, which was up in the, and I'll show, I have a comparison slide in a minute, but we moved the civic site, which was up in the northwest corner of the approved plan, which would have essentially taken years to get there with the Spine Road and the development coming from the south. We've moved it right to the very south end of existing Latitude, on Latitude Boulevard, and as Katie mentioned, in consultation with the fire chief, and they like that site. And it basically will allow service to the thousands of people that already live in the south end of Latitude, Margaritaville. Basically, the response times coming from the Hilton Head Lakes are stretched kind of to the max. So that's a health safety improvement. And then we moved the park site. I'll show you on the slide in a minute, but it was up a couple thousand feet into the site and surrounded by a preserve. It was pushed back in a big preserve area. So in addition to the land plan and entitlement issues, I think it's worth mentioning and recognizing the fiscal benefits. And I think all of you have maybe seen some more detail on this, but essentially CAR allows for a $1.2 billion investment in the city of Hardeeville. We are increasing the city annual revenues by $4.3 million at build-out. We are increasing revenue annually to Jasper County by $7 million. For the school district, we are adding $3 million a year with no students, so that's essentially free money. And then you can see combined with the existing Latitude Margaritaville, those numbers get to be pretty big. And aside from the money, we've been working here in the city for 7 or 8 years, and we feel like we've done what we said we would do, and we've contributed to the community. This slide, which I borrowed from the city, so we've strengthened the revenues, both tax base, impact fees, all those things that permit fees, inspection fees. We've been a strong partner, and we've worked alongside the city on citywide programs and services throughout the community. We continue to bring people to the community, more fresh people from other parts of the country, and those people are, they go out and volunteer in the community, they generate economic activity, and the project provides quality jobs, not just construction or landscape maintenance, but all those people like physical therapists and doctors and nurses and that are needed to provide for the essentially, if this was built out with CAR, about 12,000 residents. It hasn't always been rosy. I mean, there are some challenges. When we came in with 500 units to permit in our first year, the city planning staff had to make adjustments. They had to invest in technology to be able to process that volume of work. They had to invest in people, hiring additional staff, and then additional fire and EMS services. And then that last slide about communication opportunities with community residents. When we have an additional 3,000 or 4,000 people already in Latitude, there are calls to city staff, and it takes their time to address that. But having said that, having all that happen and having the resources has really helped the city. I mean, it's improved the function not just for us, but for other companies and developments that want to come into Hardeeville. So this is the comparison of the existing plan on the left and the proposed plan on the right. The plan on the left has the main access point on 46 and a big spine road that swings over to the northwest corner to someday connect with the Morgan property. And I say someday connect, it kind of has to connect to the Morgan property someday when utilities are there, because there are no utilities on State Road 46, so this project without utilities is not going to be a project. The park site, let me see, which is right there in the sort of surrounded by preserve, has been moved right out to the on State Road 46, so the city can have their own access. They can build it. As soon as they want to take title of the property, you have access to it. You don't have to wait for a road to be built. So we think that's an improvement. We've reduced some commercial And I already mentioned the EMS civic site being moved up to the right top there, away from the corner where it was years away from being accessed. The sort of headlight things, usually development, two of the big issues are the environment and transportation. And we think with a 40% reduction in wetland impacts, which we largely accomplished by removing that spine road that went through two big wetland systems, and the fact that we are an age-restricted community, and by very nature, they basically generate half the trips, off-site trips, that the normal traffic that is in the current approval with families and all these different uses. So we think those are two sort of headline improvements. This next slide is really just some more detail with neighborhoods laid out. It's an initial master plan. So those same issues, one thing I would note is there are 1,183 acres of preserve designated for the site. So, I mean, that's another good environmental benefit. There has been some request or discussion about how quickly can you make that connection to State Road 46. We have committed to phasing it in the most expeditious way to get to 46 as soon as development can occur in that direction. So phase one, we're going to build about enough roads for 500 lots and about 4,000 feet of main roadway. While that phase, the homes are being built in that phase, we will start on the horizontal infrastructure in the second phase, the roadways. And the same thing will happen as we get to phase three. Repeat that process. We'll start on phase three infrastructure, getting it down to 46 as soon as the sales pace allows. I mean, if we can continue selling at the pace we're selling at, we can get in that direction quickly. We've committed to not go to the east with development until we have that 46 connection made. And that's all I have to say right now. I think Jonathan, yes, I'm going to turn it over for a minute to Jonathan Guy, who's our transportation engineer from Kimley Horn, to talk a little bit about transportation. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
And state your name and address or your affiliation.
Absolutely. Jonathan Gunn, 115 Fairchild Street, Charleston, South Carolina, Kimley Horn and Associates. I'm the traffic engineer for this project. Pleasure to be here. Got to get that mounted correctly. How about that? So we've been asked to do the traffic study and look at the impacts associated with the proposed development. Our traffic study evaluated a number of units. I will say that the approved traffic study considered 230 more units than what we're proposing. We put that buffer in there to provide an extra amount of conservatism for the numbers and the analysis that was put forth. SCDOT has approved that traffic study and the off-site improvements associated with the intersection at US 278 and Latitudes Boulevard, which includes the addition of dual left turn lanes, both in and out, as well as right turn lanes exiting as well, and optimized signal timings to address some of the existing.
Speak a little bit in there. We're getting, there's an echo or something going on. It's hard to understand.
Okay. Trying to speak into it. I can speak louder if that helps. How about that?
That works.
Is that good for everybody? Great. Okay. Okay. So as I was saying, SCDOT has approved the traffic study associated with this development. We looked at 230 additional units beyond what's being proposed. That adds another level of buffer associated with our recommendations. At 278 and Latitudes Boulevard, we are recommending dual lefts entering and exiting. So dual lefts on 278, which addresses the existing short left turn lane that's out there, optimizing the signal timings, which will make not only the dual lefts work better, but will also make 278 flow better through there. And then exiting, we will also have additional right turn lanes to move traffic out. As we come down to 46, we have recommended improvements at the interface with what would be Latitudes Boulevard, which would be a roundabout. And then over at 46 and 170, we're also improving that intersection with a roundabout. I will tell you, SCDOT is very pleased with the recommendations of the mitigation we're proposing. They are working as hard as they can to minimize traffic signals being installed because they find roundabouts are more efficient. They're more resilient. When we do have storms that roll through here and the signal heads get ripped down, they don't have to have a officer stand there and direct traffic. They also eliminate a lot of the safety concerns that we have at traffic signals. And so SCDOT is very pleased with that. The last statement there that I'll mention is that improvements identified in the TIA will commence construction at the same time as the horizontal infrastructure. And so our intent is to get the improvements up there at 278 done prior to us starting construction and moving forward. And then as we move down, the other improvements will be phased in and brought in prior to those units coming on board. That's an important distinction because it allows for the infrastructure to be there well in advance of the additional traffic arriving at those locations. So there's not a point in time when you've got additional traffic that's out there and you don't have the ability to handle that at the intersections. Questions now or continue on?
No.
Okay. I'm done with that.
Are the presentations finished? Before I turn it over to the Planning Commission, I'm going to deviate from what I said. Back in 2017, it was March when we first heard about Margaritaville. We were all excited about what you brought to this community. And you have delivered on that. You've been a great partner. You've been involved in our community, and we all appreciate that. But today, under no circumstances, and I think I speak for this council, this is not about tax revenue. It's not about the money, okay? So I appreciate that slide, but that's not what we're here for. So I just want to make sure that you understand. We're here to do the right thing. We're here to make a good decision for the community of Hardeeville, money aside. It's not part of this conversation. And that's meant with all due respect. I will now ask the Planning Commission. I've asked, we have gotten summaries from the Planning Commission. Thank you very much. We have gotten a brief summary, but as we're trying to do in all circumstances, we're giving the Planning Commission Chair a couple of minutes to come up and summarize. I think it's been summarized, but I want to give the floor now to Mr. Mark Seipel, Chair of the Planning Commission. Sir, please join us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. With me today are two of my fellow commissioners, Jeff Foreman and Steve Talbot. So, as you... So, I prepared a few slides. If we go down to the next one. Oh, I have a clicker. There we go. All right, just a quick background. Katie went through most of this already.
Mr. Seipel, as we discussed beforehand, please just summarize what you got. I don't think, you know, we've seen a lot of these slides are duplicates, so let's just go right to the chase, whatever slide that is.
I can find it. All right, so Katie talked about what we did on our first meeting on this on the 13th of September. We talked about it again on the 27th. The applicant had addressed some of the changes we'd requested. For instance, we had asked to eliminate the houses on the Spine Road. No action was taken on that. We asked to provide a 10-foot walk the entire length of the Spine Road. There is a 10-foot walk down to the amenity center, but not below that. That ties in with houses on the Spine Road. We asked that they provide sidewalks throughout the community. They partially did that, but there are entire roads. I measured one at about 2,600 feet long that has no sidewalks. So they partially met that request. Cleaning up the landscape section, which Katie had talked about, was done. And then we talked about, again, the need for a construction road to minimize traffic on the main road. There was no action on that. I got a little more to talk about there. And we did recommend that the application be rejected. There were some changes made between the first and second submittal. One was to widen the road lanes from 12 to 15 feet to better accommodate golf carts. That was something we heard numerous times from the residents as we reviewed this. There is a median divider essentially from the traffic circle down to the amenity center. The open space section of the proposal was revised. That was more wording and explanation, more detail on what they call the cultural section, which is historic sites. And one improvement that was made that really addresses some of the concerns the community had is that the potable water is now going to be tapped into an existing main in Margaritaville rather than a whole new line going up to 278. So that eliminates one of the two lines that's going to be taken all the way from this development up to 278. So that's an improvement. Other considerations we had, the construction road. The applicant explained why they didn't want to build a construction road along the path of the Spine Road. And they've talked about how the underground utilities are being built north to south. But as they come south, before they go vertical in Phase 3, which is the section just off of Route 46, the Spine Road will be done all the way to 46. Therefore, construction traffic from that point forward could enter from 46 and service phases 3 through 6 during construction. Another thought on construction road, and I didn't think about this till after the meeting. For the clearing and grubbing phase, that's taking down all the trees and getting the stumps out, they're going to use a logging road that's on the west side of their property. So one thing that I thought about is, could that logging road be upgraded after the clear and grub to be used for construction? That's not something we talked about in our meetings. It's just something I throw out there. So that's all I got.
Thank you, and again, thanks to the Planning Commission for doing a very thorough job with this and taking your time. I know this was the required 2 meetings, but good job. Thank you very much. At this time, so the council can, we're here to listen, we're here to learn, we're here to understand. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to the public. I'm going to ask that everybody stay roughly to 3 minutes. I'm going to ask everybody not to repeat. Hearing something once is fine, and it's just so we can move it along and make sure that everybody has a chance to say what they want to say. If what you would do is make a line in front of the microphone, don't block the camera, and please come forward. Anyone who would like to speak at this time, please come forward. Wow. Wow. Everybody's being shy today. Miss Callahan's not going to be shy.
But thank you. Thank you for the meeting.
Everybody, please speak into the mic. State your name and address for the public record,
I'm
please.
Peggy Callahan. I live at 762 Margaritaville Avenue South, and we've been residents in Hardyville for a little over 3 years. So I kind of wanted to hear council's thoughts. So what I'm hearing is we need to wait to come to a meeting to hear their thoughts now on,
The council is here to listen and to learn.
Okay.
And then we will come out and ask our
because
questions.
a lot of times they have a lot more information, so I'm just going to tell you what I know then. So the first thing, we have a traffic monitor that was put in Margaritaville, and I don't know who put that in, if it was the police department or if it was y'all or who exactly it was. But to speak about that, it's in a totally ineffective spot to monitor speeding. Before the gatehouse, it's impossible to really monitor the speed because you can't speed to get there. That's not where the issue was. We don't know why in the world it didn't go after the traffic circle heading towards town center and then to St. Somewhere, because that's where these people just plow through. So that's my first item. The second, there was a report that counted 1,437 was the average number of vehicles that come and go, that come most of the time. So every car that comes, they have to go. So that's almost 3,000 trips back and forth. I sat on my lanai today reading for about a half hour, and I was counting, and this was between 11:15 and 11:45. And we live at Margaritaville Avenue South. There is a lagoon behind us and a few trees, and then I can see this new road that's used as a speedway. And in that amount of time, there were 56 cars and trucks that went by. And that's not even a popular time. These trucks start ramming down the road between 6:30 and 7 in the morning, and they're one after the next. So with how these are counted, I don't know if that's just coming through the gate or if some of the people have stickers on their car or just how that's calculated, because it doesn't seem correct. And if your data states that it's less than 100 workers a day, that may be true by what Minto is supplying us with. But I think these workers must come and go and come and go and come and go. So that's not, if there's less than 100, it doesn't mean less than 200 trips. So that's just my thoughts on that. The other thing, I know I had said something and then y'all said, no, that wasn't it, that there was a proposed construction road to accommodate Hilton Head Lakes and their new plan that's going to be towards the end of their plan. And that was vetoed because of a traffic situation that it was going to come out on Argent, if I'm understanding it, and that place we all know, Argent's gridlocked. I understand that. So now, all the construction traffic for Hilton Head Lakes is also going to be using 278. And even if it's just a few phases of the new phase, that's just going to make that intersection, to me, not acceptable. And I just don't see how this is a good idea. And then the dirt, the dust that gets kicked up by, even if it's 500, I don't think y'all realize what building 500 homes is when it's almost like in your backyard. And the new phase that's being built now, I believe it's phase 7, those people don't even know what they're going to experience. Like, I feel badly for them when you look at where all their houses are and this road coming in with all the construction vehicles. I'm just asking that you please listen to our planning commission and work together and find a safer way and a better way for this to all happen. It's okay with me that the sewers go through, but just not everything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth, would you please put up the police report on that 1,400 count? This is the, Ms. Callahan referred to the study done here. And this is from our police department, taken off of, Chief? And where was this located? That today we have as many facts and data that we can present, so we all know what's factual. So this is the data based on between 278 and that first roundabout, which is right before the security gate, right?
Right.
Okay. And we're going to move that to get even more data.
Right, sir, and also I can let you know that I just took the information, got that information from the sign that we moved on the other side of the road today from October the 21st to November the 5th. And we have that data in now. I just sent it to your email and also the deputy city manager also,
You just sent us
that information,
information regarding
the speed.
the speeds.
And the
And is this at the same place?
It's just across, we moved it to the other, coming out of Latitude. We just moved it to the going out where we had it going in to start with.
Okay, but it's still between 278 and the
Right.
gate?
Yes, sir.
Would you please, while we go to the next person, get that to Elizabeth so
Yes.
we can put that up? Because I have it here, but I want everybody to see it as well.
We also pulled the information from Hilton Head Lakeside also. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Robert Munson, 470 Summertime Place. Thank you for having this workshop. I would like to bring up a couple things that I don't think were addressed previously. One, traffic, as you've already heard, is bad on Latitude Boulevard. The proposal currently is to put another sewer line along that right-of-way. That's going to increase the traffic enormously, going to really make a mess. I would propose that the sewer line be placed between the Morgan track and the west side of the current Minto property. It's unlikely that that will have a major impact on anyone. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you.
So the council understands. The sewer line you're saying is being proposed to go up Latitude Boulevard? Is that what you said?
No, no. Off of 278, down the logging road on the Minto side of the right-of-way. So you can reach the north side of Carrot Track from 278 without tearing up the current Latitude Boulevard.
While the next person comes up, is there some way the council can see where that logging road is? Do we have a map to show where that is? Because I'm not getting a visual, I don't know about the rest of council, on exactly where you're talking about.
I think, if I could figure out how to send it. It's
Thank
We'll
Stryker,
come back to you, sir.
Stryker Road is,
Yes, it's Stryker Road.
Which is,
Stryker Road runs along the boundary of the Anderson tract and the Morgan tract.
oh, okay. Well, if we can put it up so everybody in the council and everybody in the room can see.
Yeah, straight north from the western boundary of the Carrot Track to 278.
And
There it runs exactly between Morgan and Morgan and Anderson Track and Latitude. It's
and you're suggesting, sir, that it doesn't go there?
No, I'm suggesting that it does go there rather than Latitude Boulevard.
Is it, the sewer line's going up Latitude Boulevard? Yeah. And you're going to tear up Latitude Boulevard to put it in? I'm trying to make sure that the council understands this gentleman's suggestion. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I'm confused. So can we clarify this for council?
Mayor, council members. I'm Felipe Toledo with Thomas and Haddon. We are a civil engineer representing Minto on this.
Speak into the microphone.
Apologies. Felipe Toledo with Thomas and Hatton. We are the civil engineers working with Minto. What he's saying is partially correct, that there is a route possible. The issue is that the developer does not control the whole width of that property line. There is only 10 foot of the easement on one side of the Anderson track and 10 foot on the Morgan track, right? And then on top of that, that's not a road suited for the traffic. There is also crossing pipe for drainage. Buford Jasper also requires a 20-foot easement plus their access road through all that to be secure to be able to run a line. So that's why at the direction of coordination with Buford Jasper, we also have picked up the route to go directly through the Latitude Boulevard. And that's the force main line. It's not a deep sewer line. That's normally runs 3 to 4 feet under the ground.
So could you please explain this gentleman's suggestion?
Yeah, what he's suggesting is that instead of we going through the Latitude Boulevard, going up to 278, is that we turn through what would be phase 1 and then go through to the road in between the temporary construction road that's being used on between Morgan and Anderson track.
And, yeah, it's the Stryker Road that runs
Stryker
down
Road, yes, sir.
along the side of the Morgan tract. It's currently used for logging, and I imagine it, what would be used for the logging?
Please take the microphone.
Katie's going to bring up a slide that shows. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Dutch Neuweiler, Minto Communities, Vice President of Land. So Stryker Road is an access easement that connects through actually the Sutton commercial parcel down the property line of the Morgan and Latitude track and the Carr track. At one point, all three ownerships got together to provide access to each parcel. So it went 10 foot on Morgan, 10 foot on what is known as Latitude, and down to the Carr track. That's what that road is, just an access easement so everybody could access the three parcels when they subdivided them many, many, many years ago. So there is a dirt road that meanders on our property line and the Morgan property line, currently right through here, that Felipe was talking about. There's also cross drainage pipes that drain water from Morgan through Latitude and ultimately to the Great Swamp. And so the gentleman was talking about running the sewer line up here. And that's what Felipe was explaining, that the needs of Buford Jasper and why it cannot go there.
That's what his suggestion is.
Correct.
And your response to that?
Well, Felipe addressed the concerns of Buford Jasper. The second is that we don't own the land. We only own 10 feet of it. The Morgans own the other 10 feet of it. And there's also numerous obstacles. I don't know the Morgans' plans here, but I think they're coming down a road in here. Thompson Hutton would probably speak to it, but so anyway, it's not set up to handle that and give Buford Jasper the permanent access that they're going to need in perpetuity. And our line is proposed to come up Latitude Boulevard. There's sections that are complete that will be directional bored, which means the pipes will be drilled underneath the ground and there'll be no disturbance above it. Some areas we have to dig. There's no point, and I mean, no other way to do it. So the areas we'll dig, we'll have to restore.
So you're going to be disturbing some existing roadway? Is that-
Correct.
Okay. And so the suggestion is, rather than to disturb that roadway, to take it up Stryker Road?
Correct.
Okay. Just, I want to make sure. Council, is that clear? Okay. Just so we know what's being suggested. and we understand it. Can we put up, before we leave the topic, put up the information that the chief just gave? So this, for everyone, if you want to digest this information, these are counts, again, they're later counts from the other ones, and at the request of Mr. Mearsman, you're going to move the thing and get some additional counts beyond this. Okay. Thank you. All right, next.
Good afternoon. John Costas, 79 Lazy Way, Margaritaville. I just want to bring something that we discussed at the planning meeting regarding the construction road to 46. It was brought up 3 or 4 times to use it, and there was reasons why they couldn't use it. One of the reasons was that it's going to require a lot of maintenance. There'll be so many trucks coming and going on it. But as someone that's been part of many construction projects, you know, you can do it. It just requires that you have to do weekly maintenance or grading the road, because the trucks will tear it up. And I'd like to ask that, I know it's a money issue. It's not that it can't be done. It's a money issue. That they reconsider, you know, maintaining a road and doing the 46 and not putting it through Margaritaville, even though it's a little more money. Because you can grade it, you can repair it, it's redundant, but the people that are living in Margaritaville now that bought, they didn't buy into this mess. Maybe they should have realized that, oh, look at this, they're doing future development. Oh, by the way, all this development is going to come in front of my house. Well, I don't live on Shoreside. I live on a side street. So this construction doesn't really impact me, you know. But I have to understand that if I lived on Shoreside and I had to deal with that mess and there wasn't another way to do it, but it won't be done because just financially it's not possible. They don't want to spend the money. So simply put, I'd like them to reconsider fixing that road to 46 and doing something to accommodate the people that paid a lot of money to purchase homes in Margaritaville. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'm Jackie Jordan. I live at 1896 Shoreside. I'm one of those people that's putting up with the mess. And this was never disclosed to me when I bought the house. There's no sidewalk in front of my house, so it's also creates some danger for people walking. A lot of people walk, and I'm really upset about it. I wish I'd never bought on Shoreside. So Minto didn't do that. They didn't put mailboxes close enough to my house, so I have to go to the post office to get any major, you know, shipment that's sent to me. So that's my 2 cents about Shoreside. And also I'm very concerned about it continuing to go to other developments. I'm not happy at all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Y'all letting us off easy today. All right. Well, I'm sure as the discussion progresses that there will be other thoughts, and if we have time, we'll come back to this. Okay. Now, at this time, I think the council now, I'm sure we've all prepared our thoughts and questions. This will help, your comments will help clarify where we need to go that perhaps you haven't recommended. So I'm going to go in order, give everybody a chance, and as typical, I will be asking my questions last. And as Mayor Pro Tem, I'm going to ask Mr. White to start us off.
A lot of points have been made. The thing that overwhelms me sitting here is the disappointment of a lot of the residents from what's happening. And when you get there and you buy something, you feel trapped. And the last person that spoke tugged right there for me. So I'm frustrated over some of the issues like the sidewalks and some of these development roads. And to me, to have the situation that you talked about without sidewalks, to me is, it makes no sense. And a lot of these things don't make any sense to me. They need more time and building consensus on some of these things, because the investment in that community to have a lot of residents that are dissatisfied is not the best strategy for marketing something, in my opinion. And happy residents are going to be a lot more valuable to you than what we're hearing today. And I think a lot of these things are fixable. They're not millions. They're, in some cases, probably thousands. And it takes an attentive ear, but Harry put it well. Money doesn't talk in these situations. Residents talk. And I think they need to be listened to and build some consensus and solve some of these problems. Or I think the disappointment is going to continue. And I think you won't have the success that's possible there. So a lot of very good things have been said. This is my summary of just sitting here and listening. I'm going to pass this over to John now, and appreciate you being here, and those of you who have spoken, thank you.
I echo what Bo has said, especially about the revenue stream. We have never considered that, ever. And I mean, it's important, granted, but like I say, that's not something that we take into consideration. And I had some questions that I had written down, and a couple of them were answered, but I have a few that I'm sure y'all are interested in as well as I. I never heard anything more mentioned today about the fire station. We take the Planning Commission's notes and meetings very important, because they are our kind of buffer or whatever, and they go through and condense some of the things that are going on. Can somebody tell me, I think the fire station, if I'm not mistaken, and the Planning Commission is no longer on 46? Is that correct? And it was supposed to be, and then all of a sudden, right now, it's not. And that was a confusion. That was one issue that I didn't hear mentioned today.
The fire station was relocated
Yeah.
in coordination with the fire department involvement to get quicker response time, and I'm sure Joey can talk to that a little bit more than I can.
Whenever we,
Show the map.
huh? All right.
Because I know that was Planning Commission, that was one of y'all's issues that come up.
All right. So as far as the fire station location here is concerned, we took into account everything, and where this location is, it will best serve existing latitudes, the proposed phases here, if approved, as well as access into the Morgan track as well. So it would reduce response times in there, improve ISO ratings, and it'd be better served in that location versus off of 46, because it can.
All right, that's what I wanted to hear, Joey, because I know that was one of the issues with the Planning Commission, and I'm sure the people in here want to know, because that's an important thing for, not only for your protection of your house, but for your homeowner's insurance. So I know everybody was concerned about that. So you say that's the best choice?
Yes, it serves multiple developments from that particular site in there in future. So to best serve all, that's the best location.
Okay. All right, there was another thing that had come up that I, when we were having a discussion a while ago, I understood where it came, when they said there was a 40% reduction in some of the alternatives that y'all had done, and had come up with a 40% reduction in wetlands interruption. But I didn't follow when you said you started, and anyway, explain to me, Mr. Mayor, if he can come up, what exactly did you mean by a 50% reduction in trips? I forgot, I know somebody had mentioned that a while ago, and like I said, I understood about the 40% less interruption with the wetlands, but the 50% reduction in trips, I did not follow.
That's a great question. So the 50% reduction in trips comes when you compare age-restricted housing versus
Say that again.
age-restricted housing versus traditional single-family housing that may have students, elementary, middle, or high school students. Comparing those two, the age-restricted homes has a lower trip threshold than what you would with a normal house. And so that reduction comes in because you have less trips associated with that type of development. And that's not our numbers, that's based off the Institute of Transportation Engineers that puts that data forth that we are required to use from SCDOT.
Okay, okay. All right, I guess this is maybe a Brown or a Katie question. I know we had alluded to this, I don't know, several months ago or whatever, but I noticed that the Morgan tract was mentioned today, and we had said all along that it is absolutely no way that this development can proceed or the Morgan development can proceed unless they work together somehow. I mean, it's just, for the longest period, it seemed like, you know, Development A was worried about Development A, Development B was worried about Development B, and you weren't worried about infrastructure or whatever. And now I noticed that the Morgan tract was mentioned today. As a matter of fact, it was alluded to twice today. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Katie or Hask or Browner?
I turned it off and now I can't get it to work again. Good afternoon. I don't want to echo as everyone else. It's a sensitive microphone here. So, yes, we've had conversations about the Morgan tract coming in. We do not have a full application.
Yeah, I remember that.
We have a partial application on that. We don't have everything. So we are not able to review that as far as some of the things that have been mentioned today. Yes, when we do that, when we do get everything, we will be looking at it in conjunction with this 278 plans that we've been making along traffic on all different areas, as well as plantation and any other infrastructure that might be needed. So, but we do not have that at this point in time.
I think you're referring to what Dennis mentioned. So let me explain. The way the current approval for CAR is right now, it shows this road connecting to Morgan. The CAR track will never get developed if Morgan doesn't go or it doesn't connect to Latitude. The utilities have to come, if they were going to connect to Morgan, would come down through Morgan, so they'd have to wait for Morgan to develop and then connect and come down, or it connects to Latitude. There's no utilities out here on 46 to serve it.
So that's what I was kind of alluding to. So until Browner and them come up with some type of agreement with Morgan, I guess y'all are kind of on hold with this?
No, we're going to accommodate the utilities. It's either or. It comes either from Morgan or it comes through Latitude, connects. Everything's above on 278. So water and sewer all are coming from 278. So this property, as approved right now, could not go until either Morgan gets all the way down here or it connects to Latitude. It cannot be built the way this is without the utilities coming from 278.
Okay.
I had a few more questions about the Spine Road that were kind of answered today, and I still was a little unsure about the construction road that was semi-answered today. So I think I'm gonna pass it on, Mr. Mayor.
Mrs. Guzman.
Okay, so thank you so much for addressing the money slide on there. While we appreciate the revenue that's coming from Margaritaville to the city of Hardeeville, I just want you guys to know that the city of Hardeeville is not for sale. So, okay. So I was reading the PDD and the standards, it says in the PDD standards, and the development agreement will provide a reasonable certainty as to the lawful requirements that must be met in protecting vested property rights while maintaining the authority and duty of government to enforce laws and regulations which promote the public health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of our state. Jumping off of that, has Minto given any thought to what is going to happen to 278 when the Exit 8 widening project will begin in approximately 2 years? We are the second light eastbound. 278 will be gridlocked, and this intersection will become a dangerous pocket with two developers dumping their construction traffic onto 278 around the same time. And I'm also, the other developer I'm referencing is the one that is in Hilton Head Lakes, and that's Lennar, who's getting ready to start theirs. If somebody can address that, that would be great.
Great question. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, that has been brought into consideration with our analysis, not only looking at the horizon years of the development, but also the interaction between the existing Latitudes intersection and the new intersections that will be created with the widening of the interchange at Exit 8. As you know, Exit 8 is going to be modified. They're going to be replacing the existing bridge, putting in 2 new bridges, putting in what's known as a diverging diamond interchange. And the existing signal to the east of the interchange is going to be shifted further east, away from the interchange. Now, that shifting of the intersection is going to help with the platooning of traffic along 278. One of the big issues we have right now is once you pass the intersection there where the McDonald's is and it accesses the hospital back there, you have a very long run until you hit Latitudes Boulevard, which is the next signalized intersection. Speeds on 278. You create volatility in the traffic mix because of that, because there's nothing controlling that. As we shift that further to the east, it creates more appropriate spacing of signals. At some point in the future, John Smith is most likely to be signalized in between that time frame, which will add more platooning of traffic. The platooning of traffic is a good thing. It helps to balance. It allows us to put in timings that can help manage traffic further. The improvements we are putting in, we're proposing to do those improvements well before we start construction at 278, which again will provide additional capacity to that intersection to address some of the concerns that have been brought up to date about backing up into 278. The phasing of the improvements has not been finalized with SCDOT. We did reach out to Craig Wynn at SCDOT, who is the project manager on that, to determine what is the phasing for the interchange improvements so that we can better accommodate that phasing as this begins to move forward. So we did consider it. Please, any other?
Okay, so because that's my biggest concern is the safety of those folks that are going to be using that particular intersection with all that stuff that's going to be done with the Exit 8 and all the backing up of traffic and all of that stuff. That pocket is going to be extremely dangerous with construction traffic getting dumped onto that intersection any way you slice and dice it. So, and as the PDD says, the regulations which promote the public safety, health, and general welfare of the citizens of our state, that's my biggest concern, is the safety of the citizens that's going to use that road. the taxpayers that's going to use that road, and it is incumbent upon the developer to make sure that safety is paramount, and there is nowhere in this PDD or any of these plans that I have seen that y'all have taken into consideration anybody's safety, whether it's inside Margaritaville, the people who are using it on 278. I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen the word safety mentioned even once. But yet, you guys put up slides that point to us how much money is going to come into the city. I thought that was a nice touch there. So, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is the cultural and archaeological sites that's on this property. Has any of that been evaluated by the South Carolina Historical Preservation Office? Has that been addressed?
Again, Dennis Church with Mento. So there has been a 458-page report done by an archaeological and historical consulting agency, fully licensed, fully in compliance with every state organization that regulates archaeological and historical sites. There have been 2 sites identified that may be eligible for listing on the National Register of Historic Places. Those sites are fully protected. They will be they're already in what's classified as wetlands. There's an additional 50-foot buffer around the sites that have been delineated, surveyed in, and there will be a restrictive covenant to protect those in perpetuity. The state SHPO, State Historic Preservation Office, is the agency that regulates those things. The city, I believe, kind of requires that we identify things that might be affected by a site plan, but it's the state agency. Those studies have been done. There was 162 days in the field, and what is important is being preserved.
Okay. And the other question I have is the homes that's going to be facing the Spine Road. That is dangerous, as in conflict with the city's comprehensive plan. So how are you guys going to address that?
We worked with city staff, and we are widening the road from the roundabout. I guess I'm pointing and not doing anything. From the roundabout to 46 to 30-foot wide to give them more room on the road for any EMS traffic or anything as our traffic's on there. So staff was satisfied with the widening of it. We have homes on Spine roads in all our latitude communities and don't have issues with them.
But it conflicts with the city's comprehensive plan as it stands, so.
Yeah, but so in discussions with the city, we widened the road past standards and we added an additional 8 feet of pavement, so it's 30-foot wide.
And that's going to, you think that's going to fix that dangerous situation?
Yes.
Okay. I'll have to, and the construction road, that to me is a biggie, because the PDD as it stands dumps the traffic onto State Route 46. Now, I went and sat on State Route 46. There's barely any traffic that goes down 46. Whereas there is a lot of traffic within Minto, within Margaritaville. And I am just concerned about the folks that are in Margaritaville right now. I mean, I know they are not the end-all, be-all, but all lives matter. People on 46 as well as the people in Margaritaville. So the construction road, no construction road means no go from me as well, because to me it's a huge issue with safety, because you have cement trucks, 18-wheelers, dump trucks, all kinds of stuff. We just passed the project on Hilton Head Lakes Boulevard, and we see these guys speeding all the time. It's just going to be a matter of time before there's an accident there. I don't want that to happen to my neighbors across the street. Sidewalks. There's no, sidewalks need to cover all roads, not just a particular area. And these are the things that's non-negotiable as far as I'm concerned. The spine roads, homes facing the spine roads, the construction road, sidewalks must cover all roads. And the travel lanes, less than 24 feet, is also a no-go for me. So I have lots more questions, and I'm sure my other council members will cover that, and I'm just going to turn it over to the mayor.
I just waved someone from the audience to hold off. This is not public comment section, so please, I'm going to stay in the order that I announced at the beginning. So I didn't mean to be rude, sir. It's just, it's not, there will be another, your time will come. Mr. Mearsman.
All right. First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today. I'd like to thank the planning members for showing up today, too. Yes, Minto and the city have worked well as we come through with all of this. The planning board, I tend to agree with their recommendations. I think what they have decided for this development, what they deem necessary is what is necessary. As a council, we just took a first vote last week on a development in East Argent that has most of the concepts that the planning board is requesting for this development. I'd like to address the sidewalk issue in the existing development. That PDD did not require those sidewalks. Sadly, that's just the way it is. But with the car tract, it's a different story. Now we can move up to what is necessary. And there again, that's where I come into agreement with the planning. The sewer line, I've been told, will require some digging, and it will also require vertical drilling. And if you're not familiar with vertical drilling, it is much less invasive than trenching. The ISO rating is a concern. The city has been luckily to have their ISO, which is their insurance rating, reduced. As Minto grows, and as you said, at build-out, we could have 12,000 residents possibly in the Minto development. So it'll be very necessary for the civic site and a fire station. We saw the traffic in there. Right now, with 1,500 homes, it was showing about 1,500 trips in and out each day. That's with 1,500 homes. Triple that, quadruple that. What are we looking at? Are we looking at 3,000 in and outs per day, possibly? Is that possible, given the existing road network that we have? So we have to be cognizant of how that's going to affect everything. Now, to address the construction road, bringing the majority of the traffic now into Latitude, and I'm a 4.5-year resident, so I have lived through all of this. At the rate of 500 homes per year being completed, so it's reasonable to believe that we're probably 3 years from build out from the first section. If we look at the new section of phase 1 and 2, possibly another 1,000 homes, we would be looking at 5 more years of construction traffic prior to the road going all the way to 46. I think there's other answers there. I know there's other answers there, and we have to be looking for those. The traffic is bad now. The road width from, on Latitude Boulevard, from Margaritaville Avenue to St. Somewhere is 13 feet in each lane. An average concrete truck with mirrors is 10.5 feet wide. That doesn't leave any access for a golf cart or bicycles. That's a very unsafe condition. That has to be addressed. It should be addressed now in the existing development without going further. But in conclusion, I concur with the Planning Commission on the concerns that they have and their reason for not recommending a passage at this time. We need to discuss this a lot more before we can move ahead. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you, everybody. As I said earlier, we've received a lot of information. I was at the Planning Commission, and I'm trying to absorb all the comments and put that in an order that is logical and deals with facts. So what I tried to do after the Planning Commission is try to get as many facts as I could, like what the chief just presented. But I want to give a little bit of history that 3 of us were on this council in March 2022. And I think it's important because it all plays into my thinking. At one point, and I don't remember what meeting I said, and this may be paraphrased, but roughly, I said if I had $40 million, I'd buy it and never touch a blade of grass on the thing, because that's an environmentally sensitive area. I still believe that today. Anybody got 40 million? My checkbook's a little blank. But I hope that one day I don't regret that that we developed this. And we had at that time, and Minto was not involved in this. It was the Moon River people who own this. And they presented themselves as environmentally friendly developers. We put in some controls, measurement of the water tables. This was very important to us. And I think I speak for John and Bo, 3 of us were here at the time. 1 week before the public hearing, and we invited every entity, and a lot of you were at some of these meetings. We invited Beaufort County, Jasper County, Bluffton, everybody in the surrounding area to come in and give their input on this. And there were a lot of comments and inputs put in here. The week before that meeting, on the 28th of March 2022, Jasper County approved a project of warehousing that this council objected to. And in spite of that objection, they approved 3 million square feet of warehousing space off 17, and they changed from rural preservation to allow that to happen, putting a lot of our downtown area at risk with heavy trucking. So at that time, we felt, because it was happening, that if we did not approve this and we did not annex this tract, Jasper County would do it and not do it as good as us and not be able to control the police and fire that would definitely be required in that area. And that was the main reason we approved it. And we did get the density reduced from 33 and change down to 2620. It was over 700 units that we were able to get done. So it's important to understand that. If we did preserve this, if somebody came up and preserved this forever, then Latitude Margaritaville would never have another exit out of your community, which at that time was the biggest concern we heard from from the residents of Margaritaville. It was a big concern. Well, that will persist if that scenario that nobody has $40 million, so it's not going to happen. There is also another thing that when I heard at the Planning Commission, it's about hurricanes and evacuation. That all leads back to getting out of there. Now, we announced Margaritaville in 2017. I don't know, probably didn't have the first resident until 2019. So there's probably very few people in this room that lived through Matthew in the fall of 2016. There was also a mandatory evacuation order. And there was one, and that was done, I don't know, but it's done days, maybe a week or more in advance, because they start tracking these about 3 months in advance, and they don't move fast. So there is not going to be any mad rush to get out of all these communities. I was one of the last people to leave because I had city responsibilities, or thought I did at that time, and I was one of the last ones to leave town, and the traffic might have been a little heavier, but there was no log jam. There's plenty of time to get out of town. So I wanted to address that because that came up at the Planning Commission. There's also something that I think is important, this, like I mentioned about the money. Ms. Callahan said at the Planning Commission in an email to me, why shouldn't the mayor place the safety of State Road 46 above the safety of Latitude Margaritaville? Good question. But the side B of that record is, why should the mayor place the safety of Margaritaville above the residents outside in 46? And the answer to both questions, for me, is that both are important. Every one of us up here, when we get sworn in, we are sworn in to serve and protect the entire community of Hardeeville. No one section or the other has more importance. And I think it was important to answer that question. But I also want to explain how I've looked at the facts of public safety that everybody brings up. We're going to give out between 1,200 and 1,300 single-family home permits this year. The only major construction area that has a 4-lane highway with a traffic light is Margaritaville and Hilton Head Lakes. Of all the big construction we have around the city, it's probably the safest area. Now, doesn't mean it can't be safer. Well, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the safest of any construction zone that we have. Also, I looked up, and could we put up, I asked the chief, because again, I want to deal with facts. Can we put up the traffic report that the chief compiled for us? Through October 31st, this report came through for the intersection of 278 and Latitude Boulevard. Do we have that slide? Okay, as you can see, this is a history of the collisions at that area. Actually, if you look, 18, 19, and 20, and of course, there weren't as many homes there, but there's been more accidents, I think, since the light got there than it wasn't. No accident is a good accident, but it just goes to show there are, on Argent Boulevard, where we also have a lot of construction going on, there are more accidents at New River and Argent and New River and Shortcut than what's happening here, which only leads to the fact, or my conclusion, that this is a more safe intersection than our other construction zones. Now, the other thing that in my evaluation, going up Latitude Boulevard, there's only one road where construction traffic happens. It's Latitude Boulevard, whether it, to complete the 3,000 homes that are scheduled to go on the face, or any other traffic. That is more controllable than if traffic goes into all the other roads that surround it, because that can be patrolled and it can be monitored, as opposed to trying to monitor all the other roads where it already comes. Ms. Dutch said at that planning commission meeting that, and answered that he's asked in the city of Hardyville, to increase patrols. And I'm going to say right now, that is not the city of Hardyville's responsibility to patrol a private road. If there's a problem with speeding, if there's a problem with public safety, Dutch, it is Minto's responsibility. And I live in Sun City, and there's Securitas going around ticketing residents, and I live in a new construction zone, so I get it. In fact, I've lived in two in Sun City. The residents, when there was a problem with the workers, they complained to their HOA. Securitas put themselves in a very visible spot, started ticketing a couple of those construction people, and they slowed down. Now the only problem is the residents. Okay, but the point is, if there's a safety issue, if there's a speeding issue, it's your responsibility. We have, if maybe our police want to do some off-duty work, that's fine, but it's the responsibility. We cannot patrol 6 days of construction, 10, 12 hours a day. We could raise your taxes and hire a special, but it's your responsibility to take care of that. And I thought that was important to point that out. I think another thing, there's a lot of traffic going in, and I made this point to one of the Planning Commission members. Regardless of whether we do the car track or not, Minto, most probably, is still going to sell only 500 homes a year. That's what they've been selling the last couple of years. There's not going to be more construction traffic going down Latitude Boulevard. It's just going to last a few more years longer. But the same amount to build the same 500 cars, to me, it's still going to be the same. Now, when you'll have your chance, please. The other thing, when it comes to the diverting the traffic to the construction road, and I said the same thing with Hilton Head Lakes. To me, the most direct route to get to the construction is the most direct route that they should take. If they are blocked, then they're going to take the other roads. And if you know the surrounding roads, Plantation Drive, and I can sit in any one of the communities for a couple of minutes and say there's no traffic, but the corridor of 315, 170, and 46 is a major problem, and that's why the local transportation committee is doing a study of that area to get the exact data of that. So that is a problem. And Plantation Road goes into Main Street, Hardyville. That's where our kids are. If we divert construction traffic, then it's going to divert traffic to all the surrounding areas where there are kids, there are school buses, and that's part of the safety consideration of the entire city that we have to take into consideration. Would you please, so what I did, so I could clarify what I was thinking, I can base it on fact. Would you put up, I asked Dutch to please give me a summary of where the construction people are coming from. And this is what was sent. These are a number of companies that are dealing in your community right now. Bluffton, Hardyville, Charleston, Columbia, Georgia, Beaufort, and Ridgeland. As you can see, they're coming from all over the area. So right now, they all go to 278, and they come down Latitude Boulevard. Some of those, that's the most direct route, right? And that's where they'll come. Others, the most direct route, let's say Georgia, if they come over to Talmadge Bridge, they're going to come to the eventual 46 entrance, and that's their most direct route. So if I'm looking just at the facts, what I would say is that as far as the construction road, is that we need both, so that the people coming from the 46 side don't get diverted to where the kids are, and the people who are coming from, let's say, Charleston or Ridgeland down I-95, they don't get diverted to where. So to me, these tell me that we need both. That we need access through 278, which is, like I said, to me, it's the safest one. And we need access from 46. Okay, so I think that it was important to me to know where the traffic are coming, is coming from. Let me see. Okay, so I agree with the Planning Commission on things, and I said at our council meeting last week that I think that the city council should require any new development to have sidewalks. And I think that there should be at least 24-foot roads. That's 12 feet per lane. And I base this on where I live. It's 24 feet without sidewalk. So I agree with the Planning Commission on that, and I think that needs to be addressed. There was a comment made at the Planning Commission that no homes on the Spine Road. And again, I look at communities like what I live in, some of the major roads do not have homes on Spine Roads, on the major through roads. And you know, so I agree with that as well. Some questions that came up, I was making notes. We're eliminating the Spine Road, but there will still be a major road going from the old Margaritaville to the car track. There's no one big Spine Road, but there's still a road that will eventually go from the old section down to 46, right? And are there homes scheduled to be on that road? Fronting that road?
So this would be a continuation of Latitude Boulevard as it is with no homes on it here to the roundabout. And then this is the widened 30-foot road that will have homes fronting on it to get down to 46.
So that's not, quote, a Spine Road, but that's the major road that will go, that everybody will take to get to 46. And I agree with the Planning Commission that homes should not be fronting that. And it needs sidewalks. That's so I'm pretty adamant on that. And I think there should be sidewalks in the interior. I heard people talking about, you know, and I live it. Believe me, everybody out there, I've lived what you lived through, and I understand it. And I will support that we have, and if it means we have 2,400 homes instead of 2,600, so be it. I'm happy with that. where is the 10-foot multi-use trail? I didn't quite, I made a note on that. I didn't quite understand where that goes.
The 10-foot multi-use path will connect to the multi-use path right up here in Latitude where it terminates now and come down to the amenity track here.
So that's, when you say it's 10 feet, it's multi-use, it's for, it's like a sidewalk with
Correct.
walking, biking, et cetera?
Correct.
Okay. So, I think, and again, agreeing with the Planning Commission, I think that should go all the way to 46 personally, right? Is that what you're recommending? There was a mention about the roundabout at 170 and 46. Who said that? Sir? And is that what SCDOT said?
That is correct. They would like a roundabout there.
I'm the vice chair and probably soon to be chair of the local metropolitan planning organization that called LATS in this area.
Correct.
Mayor Salka is not being elected today. There's a study commissioned by that body with DOT to study that whole area. Until that's done, there's not going to be anything definitely committed. Just so everybody because DOT says something in a possibility way. We all know here that that's not stamped in stone, and you know that as well. That proposed roundabout is a definite maybe, and that traffic study will have a lot to do what road improvements go there. And the reason that it's saying that's a possibility, because as I said before, in spite of maybe 46 is not, in any given part of the day busy, that corridor is a major problem because it's the major commuting corridor between Georgia and Hilton Head Island and all the businesses of Bluffton. It's a major area. And again, that's one of my concerns in diverting traffic away from 278 to there. So I just wanted to make sure I understood that. There's construction, somebody said construction trucks are coming at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning through there? Is that true, Dutch? And I heard also at the Planning Commission that they're sitting at the gates, they're running, the diesel fuel's obnoxious and stuff. Again, okay, here's the thing. Excuse me, sir, that's not how we're operating. The thing is this. This is the responsibility of Minto and the residents and the HOA. If that's intrusive, get it fixed. Get it fixed. Fix these people. This gentleman over here, I think it was a model of what should be done. He came over there about the dead trees. There was a meeting with the residents. They came up with a solution, talked to the residents. They had input, and something positive's getting done. If that's a problem, those people queuing, it's up to Minto to solve it. Okay? It has nothing to do whether we approve the car track or not. If that's a problem, get it fixed. That's all I have to say on that. The construction road. You know my concerns. My concerns is about diverting the traffic into areas where there are kids, there are schools, and there are families living. And that's my concern. It was my concern at Hilton Head Lakes. We have to be concerned about the total safety. So I have a proposal for the council. I heard that phase 1 was 500 homes. Is that correct? 500 homes, phase 1? Roughly. Okay. I think it would be a good compromise for everybody in this room and for the safety of the entire community if this council requires that that road be completed to 46 before Phase 2 begins. It's not what you're all asking, that it be done prior to starting, but I think that 500 homes is one more year of traffic down. And I also propose that that road not be, it be in addition to. So not all, the people will go, the workers will go to the shortest route. So if you leave both Latitude open and you have the new Spine Road, one more year, if my proposal is one more year of construction before that road is open. And I think it would be a good compromise for everybody if we did that, okay? So I'm going to propose that to the council for consideration before first reading. And somebody said reconsider. I'm asking you to reconsider. Regardless of the cost, regardless of what you have to do, get that road open so workers can go in either direction. And the other problem that I was thinking about is if you blocked all construction traffic coming from Latitude Boulevard, do you stop Palmetto Porches from who are building lanais? Do you stop the pest control people? Do you stop the somebody putting pavers on your thing? You know, how do you discern? How do you make that? So I think in terms of total safety of the total community, to have both roads as options as opposed to either one road. That's my proposal. I know there was another note I made about lights at John Smith Road. There's also a light already approved by SCDOT at Argent Boulevard in 278. That may happen, but it may not happen for many years. For those of you who may have been here a little while, remember how long it took to get that light at Margaritaville, okay? 278, they're already, it's approved and we can't get that light up. So John Smith Road hasn't been approved. So, you know, we're even further behind on that. So that's not something we can count on. And again, that's I talked about that. There was a mention, I think it might have been Ms. Guzman or Mr. Museman, about, you know, the construction traffic being greater because there's more homes. Well, at build out, there won't be more construction traffic because it's going to be done. Yeah. But again, the construction traffic, the amount will stay what it is today. It'll just stay a little longer. The other thing brought up about the 13-foot lanes, again, relating it to Sun City, there's not lanes, it's just one big thing that's 24 feet. That's 12 feet in either direction. But if we put sidewalks in, a 5-foot sidewalk, that's 24 feet plus 5. And again, I agree with everybody because I live it, you know, walk my dog, I ride my bike, and we need safe, wide lanes. So I agree with that as well. So that's all my notes. I tried to do these and study the facts. That's why I try to put them up there so that we can evaluate this. These are some initial thoughts that I have. Again, as I mentioned to start this, we're here to absorb all this information, and we'll be coming back at some point with first reading with a vote. Now, I know that some people wanted to say something. I said a lot, and you may have, excuse me, some rebuttals from me or some other comments that have been made. So I'm going to let 10 more minutes of public comment come forward, and that gentleman's first.
My name is Martin Yate. I live in Latitude Lakes, Margaritaville. I want to say thank you to you all. I'm amazed that you have so much concern for the people who actually live here and pay taxes. We're not used to. We have to deal with Minto, and they don't listen too well. Oh, my apologies. I'm nervous doing this. I said thank you to the council for bearing the interests of the homeowners in mind. I haven't seen this new PDD. I saw the last one, and it's a 116-page legal document. I'm used to reading legal documents, although I'm not a lawyer. And the last 4 pages was about the historical resources. And this afternoon, I believe I heard a gentleman from Minto saying it is now expanded to a 400-page document on the historical resources. How do I go about seeing that 400-page document, which is 100 times bigger than the last one that was put out? Thank you.
I think the gentleman said 250 pages, but if you want to see that, I will, can somebody please, wait a minute, Steve. Can somebody, if you would give your name and address, sir, if you want to see that, give that to somebody and we'll make sure we get you the document, so before you leave, we'll get that for you. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Name and address for the record, please. Even though we know you, name and
no,
address for the record.
I also live in Hilton Head Lakes, but I'm a member of the Planning Commission. I'd like to address something that Mr. Church said, and it follows on what Mr. Yates said on the cultural. The council is aware, before the last Planning Commission meeting, I disclosed that I received a call outside of the meeting from Lenar Mercer, talking to me about the archaeological locations. He offered at that time to provide me with the full report. I still have not seen it. I didn't realize it was over 100 and some pages. I would like to see that full report, because that could have influenced my decision on the way I voted. I doubt that it would have, but it could have. And when I feel that if I was promised the report, it should have been forthcoming so I could have shared it with the rest of the Planning Commission. Thank you.
Okay, so there's 2 people who have asked for that report. Brian or Katie, would you make sure that both of them get that report?
So we will consult with the state agencies and others on what we are legally allowed to share on that, and we will provide a redacted version. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? It's public comment, and then I'll turn it back to council.
Very brief. Peggy Callahan, 762 Margaritaville Avenue South. And commenting to what you had said about discussion with the HOA and Minto, unfortunately now, for the unforeseeable future, we don't have an HOA. So Minto is our HOA. So it's kind of like, it's really hard to come together and have any real discussion about that. Like, they're going to monitor their own construction vehicles. I hope you all understand where I'm coming from, because it's not like Sun City where you guys have an HOA, right? We don't have that yet. Supposedly, we will have that after we're built out, if I understand correctly, and ownership transfers to us, and we have our own HOA. So I see that as a shortcoming of how we're going to handle any issues.
I think, in response, Ms. Callahan, my basic point, it's their responsibility. what I saw, and I'm sorry, my name ability is terrible. Mr. Calvert, I saw a good way to do things. And I trust, I'm going to trust, Minto, led by Dutch, to make sure that everybody's things are heard. And if you're not getting those roads monitored, because it's not going to be the Hardyville Police, it's a private road, then please let this council know. And we'll have a chat with Minto for you. I'm making that offer to you. But I trust the people here that they want to do the right thing, as I've seen in the past. You may not have seen it, but I don't live there, so the little bit I've seen, I'm encouraged that they will listen to you, and they will make the corrections and do the necessary things to keep those private roads safe. And if not, please let this council know. Does that address your question, Ms. Callahan? Yes. Anyone else before I give it back to council?
I'm the better half, Susan Yates. I live in...
To the gentleman there with the accent? Okay. And where is he from?
I had we live in Latitude Lakes.
I'm sorry?
We live in Margaritaville Latitude.
No, I noticed an accent.
He's from England.
He's from England, okay.
My question for you, you just said that we should communicate with the council.
No,
Isn't that what you just said?
you should communicate with Minto. I said if there's a problem that you want us to help you with,
Yes.
we're here.
Okay.
We serve you. We will help you, but it's between Margaritaville and Minto, and I trust you both will come up with a good solution.
Okay, so let's say we need your help. Who do we contact and how?
Steve Mearson.
Okay. Oh, that's bad.
Well, you know, I got the microphone so I can delegate.
And listen, thank you, because as you can see, there are a lot of people that are really interested in this, and you guys have really, I mean, this planning commission is fantastic. They work so hard. I've gone to some of their meetings, and you guys understand what's going on, and it really makes us feel good that you really care about us. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Mearsman has already met separately with Dutch. So he, you know, as we all do, we have that ability to deal with the developers. And again, they've been a good partner. Since 2017, they have really supported our community. I firmly believe that they have our best interest at heart. Now, having said that, they also have to make a profit, and I respect that. They're not in the business. They're not a 501(c)(3), and that we respect that. But I respect the fact that every time we've asked them to consider the health of the community, they've responded positively. Okay, I'm going to turn it back to council. Rather than go down the line, I'm just going to ask if anyone has a question. I know, Mr. Mearsman, you had one?
First, I'd like to say, in the last 6-8 weeks, 3 issues have come up that are basically quality of life issues for the residents of Margaritaville. And with Mr. Talbert and Dutch, we've accomplished a lot, and I will give you kudos for those. We solved a couple of problems. So it's an open communication that is going to have to be established now and in the future. With that said, I spoke with the mayor last week just shortly about the road completion with the number of homes and things like that. And as a consideration to think of is currently Phase 4 is still having construction going on in it, as is Phase 7. So if we would require completion of the road to issuance of the 500th occupancy certificate, you would approximately be having another 400 to 500 homes under construction, is you're currently doing now. It's just a number to throw out there, because the mayor is right. There is no second exit for Latitude Margaritaville in this near future. Sutton doesn't move. We need that exit. Hardyville needs that exit. We need access to 46 for emergencies and everything else. So we have to work together to make this happen. And that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else from council before we wrap it up? I do have one question of council. Do you have a suggestion?
Yes. The one thing I would suggest you do is something quasi-HOA or something like that that creates an opportunity to have a continuation of this dialogue with the folks and you to hear things. And as you progress and get a formalized HOA, that's great. But I think you need a structure for follow-up and feedback. And I think what you'll find, I believe, is seeing some successes come along and move and build some momentum. But I think if you don't have something like that, you're going to miss a real opportunity.
That's a great suggestion, Mr. White. You know, perhaps even though you don't have an HOA, but if you form a small committee that represents the community, then, and you have someone, an avenue to deal with these issues. Great suggestion, Bill. So, good thing you're off the mic there, Councilman. Now, I asked the council, what's your pleasure? Normally, what would happen, this would come up for first reading next Thursday. Do you want this on the agenda next Thursday, or would you rather some more time to think about it, get feedback from the community, and hold off first reading until December? I will do your pleasure. Any thoughts or comments?
My thought would be hold off to December to let some of the good things that are beginning to ferment here take root, and then get into December, is my view.
Any other thoughts from council?
Mr. Mayor, I think that's a good idea. We've come up with a lot of good suggestions today, and I think we need to wait till December, because a lot of things were fermenting. Bo had a good idea a while ago, and I think it's a good idea for us to wait till December.
And good points, because it would give the community, things like, traffic control or whatever, or give you a chance to work with Minto. So that is a good suggestion. Val, Steve, do you have any preference?
I concur with Bo and John.
Okay, Matt, we will have first reading on whatever date we choose in December. Bo did change his vacation plan, so next Thursday, there's a proposal to change the date of the December meeting. So next Thursday, the council will vote and decide whether the council meeting will be, I think it's either the 7th or the 14th. Right now, it's looking like the 14th, since Bo changed his vacation, his travel. So That's what I will do. At the request of council, we'll put this on the agenda for, there's one meeting date in December, and we'll put it on at that time. You know, I think this was really terrific. I thank Minto and your group for coming, providing information, listening. Planning Commission, thank you very much. I think you did an outstanding job, and thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts. And for everybody out there, we're trying to do the right thing. We do the right thing when we listen, we learn, we look at facts, and try to get everybody's opinion and weigh the pros and cons of everything we heard. So thank you. This was invaluable. We appreciate you coming. Have a good evening. Thank you. Could I have a... All in favor, please say aye.